Grand Farm was really born out of when a longtime innovator and entrepreneur in our region named Barry Batchelor challenged us at one of our events to declare what's Fargo's major. He talked about, and we also believe, that every community in the world needs to declare their major. And this is the what can you be the best in the world at? And we did what we do best. We brought the community together, kind of brought some stakeholders together to really think through that and really narrowed in on ag technology. So Grand Farm is really a mission to grow out and connect this ecosystem and make the Red River Valley recognized as a world-class leader when it comes to innovation in agriculture and technology.
So the Grand Farm as a whole is set up to really facilitate innovation into agriculture. We start with the grower, and the idea is that by starting with the end user of technology and the people that are farming, we can understand the opportunities and challenges that exist within agriculture. By understanding those opportunities and challenges, we can take the ecosystem that Andrew Jason helps build for Grand Farm and engage them in solving for those, or bringing technology to life for the farmers. Everything we do is about growing our ecosystem or finding ways to help our ecosystem solve those challenges. And here on the actual site, we do research, demonstration, development, and validation of technology by adding as many capabilities as possible for our partners. We want to make innovation simple. We don't want to have our partners recreate a test site every time they want to make a new product. We want to make sure that they're able to go and take something and just move it right along the path of commercialization.
At Grand Farm, there's 5 pillars: the corporates, the startups, the academia, the government, and the grower. And if you think about Grand Farm as a Venn diagram, we want to be that centerpiece that brings all these players together. At the heart of all of it is this global ecosystem around innovation in agriculture. Second is our innovation facility. So we are so excited. We have 140 acres in Castleton, North Dakota, where we will be building out an innovation facility that we can work with our partners. So the first building that will be constructed is going to be a event center, a spot to bring people together with modular offices. And then we'll also have test plots where we can be doing on-farm trials like we have out here with our partners. Our third is our Emerging Digital Academy. So this is a 20-week coding boot camp meant to fill the tech jobs that exist in the community. So we know that the jobs of tomorrow are high tech. How can we fill those? So Emerging Digital Academy is a chance to do that. Fourth is our innovation platform. So we work with startups to accelerate them with our corporate partners. And then the fifth piece is really the policy. We really want to enable and encourage public-private partnerships.
Fargo, North Dakota is really at the center of broad acreage agriculture in the northern Midwestern states. So one of the great things about having Grand Farm in the Red River Valley is the soil that we have here. It's an amazing nutrient-dense soil. And part of what we try to do at our test site is control as many things as possible as we're trying to bring the technology on. And that soil allows us to do that. Every time we bring tech out, we want to minimize as many variables as possible. We want the same crops to grow at the same height with the same yields. We want to make sure that things are consistent from the air with drones. And having a consistent and easy soil to work with has been great for that. I think our farmers around the region have seen that as well. There's consistency from year to year.
So one of the things that we're most excited about is we work with growers to identify their pain points, right? So we produce a grower pain point report that identifies challenges that growers in our region and beyond are facing. And ultimately, what we hope to do is take those challenges and pain points, bring those to industry, and say, these are the real challenges that growers today are facing. How can we enable technology to solve those? And the best way that we can do it is through on-farm projects and activities. We know we need more people in agriculture, and one of the best ways, I think, to recruit young people in is through the lens of space. Space is cool, right? So let's get those kids excited about the future. So that's why at our Space Ag conference that we do in partnership with UND, we invite high schoolers from around the region and come and attend and get excited about the future of agriculture. One of my favorite quotes around kind of space and technology, and we're all big space nerds here, is that solving problems for space often solves problems for Earth. So if you think about if you can grow food on the moon, on the space station, with limited inputs, limited water, limited oxygen, that creates huge implications for agriculture. So Cultivate's a really special event for us because it's meant to connect the ag tech industry with growers. You know, we have innovators and technologists from all around the world come to our region and talk about what they're working on and some of the important topics. But what's also crucial is we always end with a panel with farmers. So where they can take the feedback that they heard all day long and give it back. But ultimately at the end of the day, there comes to be some key root challenges that are always being focused on. You know, and probably the biggest one when it comes to the farmer's perspective is a return on investment. You know, so much of the technology that's being developed is so expensive and so out of the realm for the ordinary farmer. So that's oftentimes what it comes down to. Is there a return on the investment for what they're making? So Autonomous Nation is our conference meant to connect the autonomous industry with policymakers. So for anybody that's following North Dakota's story around the unmanned aerial system space, we know that we've become a leader when it comes to that. We think we can take what we've done in the air and bring it down to the ground. And I also think it's really relevant from an ag perspective because ag has long been a leader when it comes to autonomous technology. Now, the auto steer has been around for a long time. So it's kind of taking those two elements and really pushing forward that we can be a leader in our region in the country when it comes to autonomous systems. So really at the heart of Grand Farm, it's about building out and connecting this ecosystem like we've talked about. And one of the most important and best ways you can build out an ecosystem is by bringing people together. So that's why outside of our events that we're hosting every year, we host a series of kind of one-off events throughout the year. It's all about bringing this kind of energy and focus onto certain niche topics within agriculture and those ag tech segments that we talked about before, and bringing people together. They can be small, they can be, you know, little meetups with 15, 20 people, kind of roundtable discussions, to they can be big virtual global events. You know, we hosted an event on traceability in agriculture last fall at Northern Crops Institute, and we had, I think, 300 people from around 30 countries that were involved with it. So it's all about just bringing that energy and the right people into the right room to discuss the challenges and ultimately the solutions.
So this is Grand Farm's third year. In the first year, we had about 42 projects with 9 organizations on the site. Last year, we had 320 projects with over 55 organizations on our site and other fields, so beyond just what we have as a physical footprint. This year, we're working on over 300 projects with partners from around the world. Over 55 of those partners are represented in this, and we're really excited about all the different technologies we get to use. We hope that these projects will help growers make consistent decisions for their operations and empower them to continue to look at micro-agronomic decision-making beyond just the field level, but at the per acre or even per square yard level on their operation. We're really excited about where this technology is taking us in terms of actually making decisions, tracing food through the supply chain, understanding soil health and sustainability, and even looking at things like cybersecurity in agriculture. So on this plot, we're working with Intelligent Ag on bringing their Spray Sense product to life. And that's through validation of the technology. This plot that we're standing on right now is set up to show the differences in blockage that sprayers might have, and then show the impact that you would expect from actually identifying those sprayer blockages ahead of time using the Spray Sense technology. And so here we've got multiple different crops under multiple different conditions, and what we're going to do is take yields at the end of the season and understand what those blockages might have done. You can already see that there's massive changes depending on if there's a 25, 50%, 75%, or 100% blockage of even just one sprayer. These are the sorts of projects that we help build here for our partners. Everything we do in terms of projects and innovations is about enhancing the work or empowering the grower in some way, augmenting their work to make it easier. If a grower were to go through their sprayer every time they spray to identify if there's a blockage, that would take a considerable amount of time. Using this sort of technology, they would understand if there's a blockage immediately. And that saves their time. It also makes it so that it's not something that they have to move into their own workflow, making inputs that they place on the farm more manageable, more sustainable in terms of the amounts that they're placing, and making sure that their equipment's operating effectively. Ever since the first year at Grand Farm, we've been looking at herbicide spray and the drift that occurs during herbicide application. We spray herbicide on wheat and soybeans under different wind conditions, 5, 10, 15, 20 mile per hour winds, to understand what the distance that travels and the impact it has on the crops. That's facilitated for one of our partners. And with that, what we're aiming to understand is the difference between what's visible in terms of impact of that herbicide and what the actual volatility or the spread is that might not be visible. And so while we'll go out and we'll visually measure things, we'll actually also use drone imaging using thermal, NVDI, and other sensors to understand the true impacts and the distance that herbicide might spread. In terms of the future and what we're thinking about with that is, not only will it save you in the amount of herbicide you'll have to spread because you'll understand where it might go under different wind conditions, but we're starting to look at things like drones that spray herbicide. And so we need the information about how far herbicide spreads under different wind conditions to help save as much money as possible for the farmer. So a company named Chonix has been working with Grand Farm this year to put into place a nutrient supplement onto our land on specific plots to understand the impact of fertilizer supplementation on crop development, the microbial development of those crops, so the bacteria and enzymes that might also be present in the soil because of that application, and how it can help your crops survive harsher environments or lack of fertilizer. That trial should help understand how farmers can use low-cost additives to their fertilizer to enhance their crop production without having to just put more fertilizer down. We're starting to see a lot of interest in this area, not just by fertilizer manufacturers, but from co-ops as well for farmers. Our hope is that the impacts of this will help us understand how these additives might be helpful for farmers to decrease their input costs or keep them at least the same year over year. In terms of growing projects at Grand Farm, I believe there will be growth, but I don't think it's just in numbers, but also the maturity of our own capabilities to serve our partners, to allow them to do more intensive development and validation of their products on the Grand Farm. The reality is we want to make sure that every project we take on for our partners is helping bring real outcomes to agriculture. So it's not really just about quantity, but also the quality of what we do for our partners.
I think one of the things that's really exciting about ag tech is it's such a broad subject, right? So when people may hear ag tech, they may think about the autonomous truck or the sensors that are out in the farms. But really, it is much broader than that, and it goes from everything from the biologics that are put in the ground, to the seed genomics, to the sensors, to everything that's happening in the supply chain. So there's a lot of different segments within ag technology, and we really want to work to facilitate energy and momentum to help solve problems.